Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Delace here with me. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm looking forward to this World Cup chat. All good, man. All good.
Yes. He's let the cat out the bag, but before we do anything else, remember, we are obviously a cricketing podcast based out of South Africa, talking all things South African cricket. If you're a South African outside of South Africa, we also talk about you too. And Tim always has his county segments where he lets us know all the people, what everyone's doing around the world or wherever they may be. But to keep following us, please follow us on X, also known as Twitter. Please subscribe to the One World Sports YouTube channel where you can find us there. And subscribe and like so you can know when we're coming. We've got a lot of content around the World Cup coming up. And then for the audio listeners, we got you covered too. I'm an audio listener myself on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please search Full Quota Podcast. That community is growing and I love it. It's exciting. So that's cool. But we're heading into the World Cup, and so we thought we'd like to talk to some people in the World Cup that will be involved in the World Cup. And most importantly, because the World Cup is in the USA, we thought we'd touch base with some South Africans who are in the USA playing. Well, they'll be playing in the World Cup, so we're going to be talking about that. I don't want to steal Tim's thunder, so I'm just going to hand over to Tim to tell us who we have for this World Cup chat.
We have somebody who has had an extensive history of playing cricket in South Africa, a real seasoned professional, somebody who went to the best school in the country, Wynberg. That's very important to put that out there.
Tim. Oh.
Yes, in the country. and someone who I think some people might be surprised that he is now an international cricketer, but I think the man that he is, he's put a lot of hard work in making sure that is what has happened for him. And it's a great story. So we got Shadley van Schalkwyk.
Yes, we got Shadley van Schalkwyk, a former Knights player, Free State player. Then he decided to move over to overseas. It wasn't a Kolpak, Shadley. It was a different form of movement. Less controversial, I would assume. But you are now representing the USA, getting ready to play Bangladesh tomorrow. So that's going to be quite exciting. Just a little bit about the series. How excited are you to be playing Bangladesh at home in preparation for the World Cup?
Oh, first, thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know we've missed each other the last few weeks, but I'm glad to be finally on. The times worked out perfectly. And good morning to those listening and watching. But yes, to answer the question for the Bangladesh series, I think it's an exciting time. I think for USA cricketers itself, I think we sometimes don't play against the main test nations, if I can say that. And it will be good to see our skill set against them. So exciting. It's very warm. I can't lie about that. It's about 34 degrees today with about 70% humidity. So it's a warm one. I think that leading up to the World Cup, it will test our skills nicely, but also put us on the map a little bit, if I can say it. I say that for us, for USA, I don't think people realize the amount of cricket and how good cricketers are here. So I think that's the exciting part for me. And hopefully a few results can go away, yes.
Yes, hopefully a few results can go your way. Obviously, it's a World Cup. It's exciting. We're all happy. But let's take a little bit of a step back. Shadley, we ask all our cricket interviewers or interviewees this question. How did you get into the game?
Oof, wow. It started at a very young age, if I can say that. I think my earliest memory must be 4 or 5 years old, probably. Just hitting with a couple of sticks in the backyard at my aunt's and uncle's house that used to look after me after school or those things. I remember he made me, Uncle Victor, I'll never forget, he made me a wooden cricket bat. He was good at carpentry and he made me a wooden cricket bat and I used to just play in the backyard and hit cricket balls. But I think that's the earliest memory. And then sort of going on to Baker's cricket, I guess. And then I went to school called Kirstenhof and I actually played I think they called it cake league cricket. So it was for cricketers that weren't actually that good, that just like playing. So I played a little bit of cake league cricket in primary school, and then lucky enough, I think when I was 12 or 13, I was able to make the A side, which was quite nice.
It's really nice. It's also interesting to see how people started. Obviously, we all have different journeys, so that's also very, very nice. When did you realize you could make a career out of this?
Ooh, that's actually, I get asked that quite a bit, and it's always a difficult one to answer. But I'll be honest, that I think it was only when I made South Africa under 19, to be honest. I think that before that, I played many different sports. It was swimming, rugby, cricket, tried a little bit of hockey, a little bit of water polo, but it was always between rugby and cricket, I guess. And sort of, I'll be honest, that during rugby season, I loved rugby a lot more than cricket. And I'm like, okay, no, I'll stop cricket. I'll play rugby for the rest of my life. I love it too much. And then cricket season would come around and be like, oh no, but cricket's so good. It's so much better than rugby. So it would flip and change every season. But I think until I made the SA under 19 side, I think that's when I was like, oh, maybe I could possibly turn professional here. I think I always wanted to be a professional sportsman, whether it was rugby or cricket. And I think the tough choice was when I was 18. I had a few rugby opportunities up in Natal, actually. But I think just cricket came through nicely for me, and I was fortunate enough to make the under 19 side. But it wasn't as easy as everyone else thought. So I snuck through the back door, really. I remember getting to the SA under 19 side, and Ray Jennings was the coach at that time, and overheard him saying, "Who's that guy? Like, he hasn't been to any of our camps." So it wasn't like I've been to camps and things like that. I just made the Western Province under 19 side the first time. I never played age group cricket before that. I had a decent Coke week, quite a good Coke week. Made the Colt side. I had a good Colts game, and then very good 3-day games at that time. And then I was lucky enough to make the SA under 19 side. Yes. So that's when I decided that, okay, I could probably make something out of this industry.
And how important do you think it was for you that you weren't an AB de Villiers? You didn't just, everybody knew that you were going to be brilliant. How important do you think it was for you to go through the challenges of not necessarily making all the representative sides, but still able to have a very successful professional career in South Africa?
If I'm honest, if I could choose over, I would choose the exact same path. Just because I don't think I had the pressure of, and there was some seriously talented cricketers now under 19 side, which like I'd sit in the change and be like, this guy's going to play for South Africa tomorrow. And a few of those guys aren't even playing cricket anymore. But I'll be honest, if I could choose a path, I would choose the exact same path. It made me work harder than what I wanted, because I thrive to be the fittest, the best, the strongest within regards to the change room side. So I think with that regard, it was probably stemmed for how I worked throughout my whole career. It was never, okay, no, this guy, Shadley will play because he's super talented. It was, I had to work really hard and I had to sacrifice a lot. And I mean, I think with that, the reward at the end of the day is a little bit sweeter than some. And I'm not saying that the talented players didn't work hard at all, because they did work hard. They worked extremely hard. But I just felt that with me working a little bit extra harder, when I did get my first professional contract, the hard work that kicked in was normal for me. So it was like, oh, is this it? Like, I've been doing this for the last 3 years. It's okay. Like, come at me more. I need you to challenge me, coach. This is easy. I've been running my 5Ks. This is easy. I've been running my 10Ks. Like, you need to actually challenge me. So I think that was the nice part about it. I think that stemmed from my whole journey throughout my career, and still to this day, it's one of the things that I rely on, actually.
Wow, that's really, really awesome. Obviously, your career was largely with Free State and the Knights. How did a boy from Cape Town end up in the Free State?
Oh wow, it's a good question. Good question. So that's a I always say the little boy from Retreat in Cape Town. Not a lot of people know the area Retreat, to be fair. So I like mentioning it that. So after under 19, I had an okay under 19 year. Didn't do badly, didn't do amazingly. Sort of had in my view, an average one. And then from there got luckily enough selected for the National Academy. And sort of spent 6 months there, which was probably the roughest and toughest 6 months with regards to awakening with how fit you actually have to be. And then at that time, Free State was called the Eagles, and Rafik Ismail was our National Academy coach with Grant Morgan. And I got offered a contract straight out to the academy. And I didn't turn it down, but I said, okay, let me think about it. Went back at the Cobras at that time in Western Province. I said, look, I've got an offer on the table. Am I in the future plans? At that time, it was said, yes, you are in the future plans. But I mean, I was competing against the likes of Rory Kleinveld, Vernon Philander. I think Charles Langenveld was just thinking of moving. So the competition for me to break through was probably going to be the toughest, if I'm honest, because they are proper serious cricketers. So I was in the future plans. So I said, turn down the contract the first time. 6 months went by. Sort of the coach at that time sort of said, yes, we're looking to get you a rookie and those things. So I was like, okay, seems like I'm in the plans. Contract list came out, unfortunately, which part of cricket, don't hold anything against anyone. My name was on the list, which was completely understandable. I mean, I was 19 years old. I can't expect the world to be handed to me. It comes with you have to work hard to get it, which I completely understood. So it actually worked out very weirdly. The Sunday I played my List A game for Western Province. That Sunday evening, I got a call to say that they've been offered the contract. The Monday I signed. The Tuesday I had a club practice at Victoria. After that, flew to Bloemfontein. Wednesday I was on a bus and made my first class debut for the Eagles at that time on Thursday. So it all happened within the space of 4 days. And I mean, that's how I ended up in Free State. It wasn't the easiest ride. I mean, I've never learned to cook a meal in my life. Got thrown in a 6 month to a year contract and said, yeah, there's your accommodation, look after yourself. And I've gone, wow, like a massive thing. And I'll be honest, I used to call home my parents crying and saying that I hate this place. I can't do it. And my dad will just say, no, we're not flying you back. You're staying there. You're fighting this out. Sort of in that, like the harsh dad tone, like, no, you're going to do this. Like, you've got an opportunity that he never had, that a lot of people didn't have before him. And I think I only understand that now. And he's gone, you fight it out and you just go. So that's how I ended up in Free State. All happened within a space of literally 4 days. List day debut for Western Province, Monday signed, Tuesday on a flight, Wednesday on a bus, Thursday made my first class debut for Eagles at that time. So it happened really quickly, but at the same time, I would never choose it any other way.
Yeah, okay. and I think it made you the player that you are. Now, I think it's largely why you're still playing. I think in a different circumstance, you may not be playing. You may be doing a different profession by now. So that's a huge plus for you. Like I said, you had a very, very successful time at the Knights. You were there for a long, long time. I think you gave everything to South African cricket. I think that's fair to say that you really did give everything you had. Coming to, I think it was 2020, how did that move then to the States come about? What was happening at the time? Was it in the picture at all? Was playing overseas in the picture? How did it all happen?
I think if I answer the immediate question, playing overseas was the initial thought. I mean, I just didn't know where, I'll be honest. So I obviously went to England every year, tried to sort of play my club cricket there and just play good cricket. So that was the one part. But I'll never forget a guy that we actually made our debut together now for USA, Nosh. Nontesho, he's one of the guys. He actually trained in Bloemfontein for about, I think it's 6 weeks. He was there, bowling spin and batting. So we sort of went for a few dinners and drinks and things like that. And it literally came about where my agent, he said, like, Shadley, do you have any contacts in America about cricket? And I've got a friend actually that plays for USA. He's played his ODIs. He hasn't played T20s at that time, but he plays for USA. So I messaged him and I just said, Shay, is there cricket in the USA? I'd like to come check the scene out and obviously train and things. And that on the back of being offered. So that was sort of almost where the contract windows were. So on the back of being offered a 2-year contract, luckily by the Knights, and I've gone, okay, let me see what's happening. And I've gone to Nash and he said, yeah, cricket's still happening. Let me put you in touch with someone. And he's put me in touch with, at that time, the USA Cricket. And they've emailed my agent back and said, yeah, we'd love to have him. Please come have a look. We're trying to grow cricket in USA. And if he enjoys it, happy days. So that's the side that a lot of people see. The side that people don't see is that I sat down with Alan Donald at that time, Alan Kruger and Piet van Biljon, our captain, and our CEO eventually. And I said, I've got it to offer you. They've given me a 2-year contract. And at that time, for me, I felt it was a very fair contract, like very comfortable for me. And I've gone, I don't think I'm going to take it. And I said to Alan Kruger, I said, guys, I'm not taking the contract. I told to the CEO, I said, I'm not taking the contract. At that time, we had a really good relationship and we still do. And he said, I completely understand your reasoning. And I said, I'm going to USA. And went there, honestly, with nothing. So I've not cancelled, but I've retired from my first class season. I said, I'll help out with one-day cricket until we find a player to sort of fill that gap. And then I'm taking off. And that's eventually how I got to USA. But difficult also. So bear in mind, people don't see the turn down of the contract. So when you turn down your contract, obviously they have to find a replacement player and your salary for the next few months goes to that player. So you don't earn any money. Yeah. You don't earn anything. So I've gone out on a limb. I've called my wife and said, I'm trying out USA. Let's see what happens. And she goes, what? What about your contract? I said, I've turned it down. I didn't tell her I turned it down. We had a chat about it. I said, I'm going to turn it down. And very hesitantly, she's like, okay, let's try it. Chatted to my parents, chat to her parents. I said, you can always move back to South Africa. There's just jump. Not a lot of people get this chance. Jump, take it. If it works out, but if you don't go, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. So obviously, sat down with the coaches, the captain, and said, guys, I'm not taking the 2-year contract, going overseas. I had a hard and honest discussion with the CEO and said, I'm not going. He asked the question of what we're going to do with the salary. So I said, look, obviously I know in the perfect world, I'd love to be paid out. I'd love, but I understand that you have to get other players. So, and very rightly at that time, he's gone, okay, we'll actually see what we can do. But if we get a player, we're going to have to cut your contract immediately. Fortunately for me, it worked out that a certain player couldn't join. They didn't give him an NOC. And I was managed to get 2 extra months of my contract to see me out. So to get me to USA. And then once that stopped, I don't think people realize I wasn't being paid for the eight months that I was in USA because of COVID. So there was no salary coming in. There was nothing else doing it. It was just like clinging onto a dream that hopefully it genuinely I've sacrificed everything now. Turned down a 2-year contract. They've signed a new player. I don't have money coming in. I can't pay couldn't pay my rent, but luckily at that time the players union we had some payments that came through, but could just manage my rent, could just manage things, but literally scraping through every month, living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes not even a paycheck, just like how are we going to get through this month? And it worked out, and now I'm fortunate enough to sit here and say that I'm living a dream that I've always wanted to live.
Yes, international cricket for Team USA. That's the dream. Obviously, you've gone through those challenges, right? So you spoke about those 8 months and getting through then. But arriving in the USA, what did you expect from a cricketing perspective? Because obviously there were still the minor league. There were talks of Major League Cricket and the T20 tournament that happened. It finally happened. But it was all the minor leagues and lots of other South Africans were coming. But what was it? What were your expectations, and did they meet them or did they not?
So the nice way to sum it up is that it's a first world country with, say, fifth world structures at that time. If I can say it like that, exactly. So they were open and honest. They said the infrastructure is not there. There's indoor centers. There's not a turf wicket in USA. There was one, I think, at that time. So it's going to be a struggle. You're going to play concrete. And I've gone, it's okay. I played concrete my whole life. I grew up in Cape Town. My club levels, I've played at concrete. So it's okay. Don't mind. So that sort of wasn't a like a shock for me. I did get here, and it was difficult to train because our academy at that time was just building an indoor center, quite an amazing and big one, but it wasn't ready yet. So I think my run-up was about 3 steps in a dark lit indoor center. Couldn't really see the ball, but that was. But the nice thing, they didn't beat around the bush. It's not there yet, but it's growing, and we'd like it to be a part of the growth, not just for my cricket, but for the kids that are coming through, which is also something that I really am fond of helping and giving back to the game, because the game has given me really so much. Like I've traveled the world with it, and if I can, fortunate enough, be an influence on someone that plays cricket's life, it will be amazing.
That's awesome.
What is the biggest change for you for going from a country that is it's got its season, it's got its 3 formats, the conditions, while there are differences, but there are a lot of similarities. So what are the biggest changes that have been for you playing cricket in America? For those that don't know, for those who haven't been watching the minor and major league crickets, what are the biggest changes for you?
So before minor league and major league, I think the biggest change was there's no coach. You're your own coach now. You're your own coach. And luckily I was a little bit older, so I understood a little bit more of the game, but it was your own coach. You need to find a way to do something, and you have nothing else you can do. It's just you have to do it. Find a way, you have to do it, which is the nice part. The biggest challenge, I think, outside of cricket is missing friends and family. That's still probably the biggest challenge, to be fair. But cricketing-wise is that you can't just rock up to a net. There's no structure for practice. You can't just go, okay, cool, I'm practicing. I'll gym in the morning at 7, go to practice at 9, practice from 9 to 12, have my individuals afterwards. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. Very lucky if you get to practice 2-3 times a week. So the training changes completely. I mean, if you're professional in South Africa, you go, okay, I can do this I can gym in the morning, practice 5 times a week, play on the weekends, and that's your daily routine. Yeah, it's okay. I need to find time to train. There's no indoor facility. It's snowing outside. I can't go for a run. There's not a bowling machine I can go. So how do I go about my training? How do I get past these things? But that's the biggest challenge. But as it's grown, it's become a lot easier and a lot more structured and a lot easier to train, which is the nice thing. So that's the amazing part about it. But the biggest challenge is probably that coming from a professional setup where everything's given to you. You've got a physio, you've got a bar, you've got a nutritionist if you need, you've got this. All of that's taken away. There's nothing. Your own physio, your own bar, you do your own strapping, you do your own training, all of those things. That's probably the biggest challenge that I could say. But being away from friends, family that can help you out, that's also the toughest thing.
Okay. Moving to more recent times, how did you receive the call that you made the national team?
So we went through a little trials period. So each state had their trials for nationals. So you had to complete your yo-yo test, sort of a few fielding things, and sort of basic things just to see the players that can go to nationals. And then with that, you go to nationals. And then at nationals, you hopefully have a good nationals, and they select a squad of 38, I think it was, a training squad. And then from there, they select a squad of 18 from that. So they had a decent national tournament, I'd say a good national tournament. And then the 18 that it got, or the 30-man squad, training squad that they released or reduced to, had a decent training squad. Not an amazing one, but sort of the application and the process was right. And then the 18-man training squad became part of that. And then to get the World Cup call was a nice, refreshing thing. So after Canada, obviously, I think every player has hope, like, okay, it's around the corner. Just play as well as you can. You do half decently here. and you've got a small light at the end of the tunnel that you might just get it. You might just be able to. And fortunately enough, I was one of the players that was lucky enough, and sort of the stars aligned, and God was good, and I was able to get the call and say, you're in the 15-man squad. And I think I might answer the next question alluding to that was probably with all the sacrifices to finally to say, okay, it was true. This is why you did it. Was an amazing thing. It was, and don't know if you're going to ask the question, but I'll try to answer it. It was always part of the plan. I don't think I would have left South Africa if it wasn't part of the plan to make a World Cup squad or to make an international side. But when I left, it was, okay, you commit to this 100% and you want to make a World Cup squad. And that's the process of the goal. It's not the end goal, because I want to do well and I want to do a lot of things. But it was one of the short-term goals that I set out to achieve, yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You definitely you did answer my next question, but that's cool. That's cool. Moving to the actual World Cup, moving to the tournament, what can we expect from in a terms of conditions point of view in the American places that are going to be played? So the New York, Dallas, and Florida. What are the variations between the various places? What can we expect?
So Dallas is a good wicket, very good wicket, decently big square, smallish straight. So I think runs will be very good. There's a little bit of wind, but it's hot. It's really hot. Yes. I think it'll be about, the lowest temperature during the World Cup will probably be 36 degrees Celsius with about 70 or 80% humidity.
Wow.
That's the one part. But good wickets. I don't think it's going to be the IPL 260, 280, 240. No. But I think you'll get close to 200 if guys play well. And I think big scores can be chased down also with regards to Dallas. Florida, good wicket. They prepared well. Sometimes you get frustrated because it actually looks like a mirror. You can see yourself in the wicket. And so that tends to be your higher end scores on the day. Sometimes it gets a little bit slow. So if it's overused, it gets a little bit slow. Spin comes into play a little bit more. But I think average Dallas score will be probably between 160 to 190, if I'm honest, at international. Possibly more, to be fair. Possibly more. Florida, the first few games, I think will probably be close to 200 till it gets slower. And the other one was... Where was the other one? New York, sorry. So drop-in pitch. I don't think anyone can doubt a good drop-in pitch with a little bit smaller boundaries, I'm assuming. I haven't seen the stadium. So with the drop-in pitch, it's going to be unbelievable. I think it's going to be runs. The fans will be there. I mean, it's going to be... Most games will be sold out, I think. And I think it'll just be a run fest in New York, if I'm honest.
Okay. My one final question, Shadley, is you mentioned obviously it's part of the plan. What's the end game? Is it T20 mercenary? Is it play as much international cricket as possible?
It's a good question. I'd love to be on the leagues around the world. I'd love it to jump on that. We call it to get on that scene. I think it's a lot harder. I'd love to be on that. I would love to play as much international cricket as I can. Still feeling fit, still feeling strong. So that's sort of on my side. But if I'm honest, and I think my closest people that know this to me is I genuinely just want to leave the game in a better place than what I did, than what I got. So there's some kids that are coming through here that I wish I had half the talent. I wish I genuinely had half the talent that they did. So I want to make sure that the end goal is that is the game's in better spot for them when they come through. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to get on the scene. I want to play as much international cricket as I can. That is an immediate goal. But the bigger picture for me is that I genuinely leave the game in a better spot than what I received it.
That's amazing.
And I think you're doing that because I hear lots of good things about your coaching from various people. So I hope so. I think you're doing that. The last thing I sort of want to touch on is you can play in America largely all year round. So how challenging is that? Obviously, because it's such a big country, you can't do that in South Africa. No matter how hard you try, you just can't. The conditions don't allow it. So you play all year round. How challenging or not is that?
It's a lot more challenging than the seasonal, because in season South Africa, you've got your 6 or 7 months of cricket full time. In USA, you've got, there's a month here, then you have a 3 or 4 week break. Then you have a month there, then a 3 or 4 week break, or sometimes a 2-month break. So you play various tournaments around USA, but it becomes difficult because in SA, you've sort of got your planned off-season, pre-season, in-season, if I can say it like that. Here in USA, it's sort of pre-season all the time and in-season. There's no off-season because you get a call from someone say, look, we've got a tournament in Houston or Dallas or Florida. And then you've got 2 weeks to prepare, pick up, go, hopefully do extremely well. And then you break for a month or two. And then, you start just training. And then you just start switching off a little bit. And then another call comes. And then, so it's a lot tougher because there's no set routine in, I've got 6 months to work at, or 2 months to recover, 4 months to work really hard to get ready for the season. Here you got 2 weeks. You got a weekend tournament, which is 2 T20s on the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. So you play 6 games a weekend, fly out the Monday, have a 4-week break, and then you switch off, and then you go, next week again. So that's the difficult part. It's not as seasonal. It's becoming better, but it is played all around the world, and it's sometimes tough because it's a 6.5-hour flight for me from Seattle to Florida, or 6-hour flight, which is like international flight. So you still do get jet lag, believe it or not. I'm only sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning in Dallas or Houston that I am now anyway. But it's part and parcel. But there's no set routine. I think that's the things that people don't see. It's you prepare, play very well. Then you have 4 weeks off, prepare, and then 4 weeks off, and then 2 months off, and then you go through the next 4 months is extremely busy. So it's sort of, it waves and it's up and down, but it's challenging, yes, with regards to that.
That's truly fascinating, especially because you're living in the northwest.
Northwest, yes, you're right.
So that's like the northwest corner, and you're traveling down to like the southeast corner. So, it's quite fascinating. Shadley, just a word on your teammates. Obviously, you got Colin Munro, Andries Gous, many other people who aren't necessarily American-born coming to this team. How's the vibe and how's the cohesion going up in preparation for the World Cup?
I don't think we have Colin Munro. It's Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson, sorry.
No worries. But I think it's been going well. I think we've played with and against each other for the last 3 years. So it's sort of just getting together, gelling well, which I don't think guys are finding too difficult because we play tournaments against and with each other every other month. So for the last 3 years, so I think that's fine. I think it's a good thing. Obviously, I just wish everyone hits their peak form during this World Cup, and that will be amazing. And I'm excited for people to see the brand of cricket that we want to play.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Shadley, thank you very, very much. We wish you all the best for the tournament, all the best for the Bangladesh series. We're looking forward to you making a name for yourselves as Team USA and taking some big names down. As T20 allows us to. So thank you very much for your time, and good luck. We'll be watching very keenly with this Bangladesh series and the coming World Cup.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me, Mpho and Tim. It's always nice to chat to you guys. And then if you guys need anything from me or any chats or anything, just let me know. It's always good to chat to you guys.
Yeah, we might call you back during the World Cup to ask you how things are going. So
please do. Sure. Please do. I'd love it.
Okay. That's amazing. Thank you very much, Shadley.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the day. Or evening, I think it is, right?
Afternoon. You are still
good afternoon then. Afternoon. Oh, perfect. Yeah, we just got training now in the next. Yeah. I think we leave in 5 minutes. Yes.
Okay. Sure. Thank you very much, Shadley. We don't want you to
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mpho.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Tim, Shadley van Schalkwyk. you wouldn't say a journeyman in South African cricket, but he was. He spent 12 years here. He took a risk, and it's starting to pay off. He's playing international cricket. It's a different path to the general go to Ireland on a passport, or go to Netherlands on a passport, or go to England and sit there for God knows how long and then maybe make a debut. It's a different way, and maybe it's a model that can happen around the world if cricket grows, And yeah, I hope our viewers and listeners enjoyed that conversation, because it may not be the end, especially because of the way our cricket is going, and how hard it is for the under-19s or anybody coming into pros to make it into the domestic setup or the franchise setup, or even the pro-tier setup. And so this is a different route, and I like it, because different is always is also very nice too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the explosion of T20 cricket, this sort of thing will happen more and more. I think that's that potentially could happen more and more. As you sort of touched on, that traditional route is actually, if you compare the two, is actually quite difficult. The traditional route of going to the UK, it's actually in many ways a lot harder. In Shadley's case, his focus was literally just one format, playing one format for 4 years. And that focuses the mind when you are literally training for one skill over and over again. You're not having to be brilliant at 3 formats. You don't have to outshine at a particular thing. It's just one particular format. So yeah, I obviously I've spoken to him many times before, and he's a really, really engaging person. As you saw at the end there, he's willing to come on again, which we may well take him up on that. It's an interesting story, and I think when he left, I think he left at the right time, because as I said, he gave South African cricket everything. He was not a million miles away from South Africa at one point, but I don't think he was ever going to play for South Africa. So if, as he says, international cricket was a goal, it made perfect sense to take the move, and it's worked out perfectly for him. It's absolutely worked out.
I just hope he doesn't play South Africa and adds onto the list of South Africans who knock us out of a tournament, because that would be wild. But it'll be fun, because that's what it is, and to a certain extent, it also opens up the angle of thinking of South Africa as a hub of producing cricketers who can go play elsewhere. And America is a really, really lovely country. It's a first world country, so it's easy to live in. And, the opportunity now is there for you to play cricket. And we're seeing that a lot more with a lot of cricketers going that side. So, yeah, we wish them all the best. It's going to be interesting to see how the USA play this tournament, because that's obviously another thing, right? It's another global audience. It's a big global audience. We saw that with the Major League T20. And if this World Cup hits and you have a strong USA team, I suspect Shadley going 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or 2 weeks on, 4 weeks off could be ending very soon. Because I think one thing I know about Americans is that if there's a team that's winning somewhere, it's going to get support and it's going to get a lot of advertising. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how they come up against the T20 universe that the ICC has provided for us for this World Cup. Because yeah, I think even with teams like Uganda and the Reich, it'll be pretty awesome. Shadley hasn't left us. He says he's sitting with Andries Gous. So let's take Hey Shadley, on the team bus, and he's on mute.
Do unmute.
Shadley is on mute again. I'm gonna try and mute him. Okay. He's chosen to mute himself.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, still sitting with Andries. I'll let you guys ask him the tough questions if you want. I'll get him on.
Sure, cool, no problem. Let's chat to Andries.
Okay. Closer.
Cool.
Go on, have a quick chat. Just putting it right here.
Right
Okay,
here, the
yeah.
Samsung.
Yeah. Can you hear?
Hello.
Yes. Hi,
Awesome.
Andries. Hi,
How's it
Andries. How are you
going?
doing? Oh, good, good. We're here from South Africa. We're good. We're here from South Africa. Sad that you'll be playing in the World Cup for another country. First question: have you learned the national anthem?
Have I learned the national anthem? Well, every single event that happens here, you have to you hear it. So I would say about 3 or 4 lines, I've got it covered. I'm not sure if I will sing it, but we might just have to just keep quiet.
But how is it being in the USA team and playing for USA and playing international cricket?
Yeah, it's good. I think I've said plenty of times that it's always been I think for Shadley as well, it's been quite a dream of ours to play international cricket, and just to get an opportunity now to showcase your talents against the best in the world is really what we've all been dreaming of, and it's come true. So it's been really good so far.
That's awesome, Tim.
What are you most looking forward to? Have you got an opposition in mind for the World Cup that you're most looking forward to playing against?
Jeez, like I think all our games are quite tough. So it's not like one opposition. I think India is obviously a special one. But again, Pakistan as well, right? They've put us in a group that's quite tough as well. So I think just the whole experience of this World Cup is what we're looking for. Forward to it's more that than any specific team for me.
Okay, that's awesome. Yes, Tim.
No, I was just going to say, how important has Major League Cricket been for America's progression?
Well, yeah, I think it's very important. I think when Major League came, I think the standard of cricket just started lifting a lot. I think if you can ask everyone where prior to 2021, probably the cricket wasn't as good as it is now. There's a lot of talent in this country at the moment, and I think it doesn't matter who they pick at the moment, it will be a competitive side in the associate region. So I think I think it's been very important. Obviously there's always issues and stuff, but I think if you look at the bigger picture, it's been really helpful for cricket in the USA.
Awesome.
That's good. Andries, thank you very much. Wish you all the best for the Bangladesh series. Lots of runs, lots of wickets, guys. Sorry, I lost you there. And looking forward to watching you all the way from here. Light the South African flag up high, even though you'll be playing for another country.
Thanks, guys.
Sure, thanks. Thanks again, Shadley. Have a great day of practice.
Thank you guys. You guys too. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Bye.
Okay. Cheers.
Look at that. That was fun.
I told you that Shadley was a legend. I told you he was a legend.
Big thank you to Shadley. Now we've got 2 South Africans on the show. Or 4, because we are also South Africans. But yeah, so wish them all the best. Wish Team USA all the best. And hopefully they don't knock us out somewhere. Probably not this World Cup, but maybe the next World Cup. So yeah, we wish them all the best of the Bangladesh series. Tim, we'll be back doing World Cup previews and discussions of the teams we're going to be facing as we get into the World Cup. But everybody, thank you very much for listening and viewing. And yeah, send through your comments and questions about who we'd like to have. It is in America. If there's something you want to know about America, please let us know, and we can organize an interview or someone who can speak on the topic. We've got Nate as well, who can come in, and I think we maybe need to bring him in to kind of set the scene of what this World Cup might be. But yeah, remember, please follow us on Full Quarter Pod on X, subscribe to One World Sports Radio channel, and for the audio listeners, Spotify if you're a newbie, Apple Podcasts if you're like an oldie like me, please do Full Quarter Podcast. Outside of that, from myself and Tim, it's goodbye and lesale kakahiso.